Thank you very much, Renato, and thank you to all the speakers present today. It really is an honor for the Serious Policy Network on Migrant Education to be part of this event. I've found the speakers really incredible. The work seems to have been very deep, very much based on relationship, on love, on trust, and on the most essential elements of what we need to have great education today. I was reading last night a little bit about Don Bosco himself, and to learn that he really was a true educator with a very deep understanding of how important education and well-being of our children is to our world. I found a little quote that said, "Pay special attention to the students with more difficulties." For me, it really made sense for what the work we do here at the Serious Policy Network on Migrant Education. I'm going to tell you a story now. It's actually about the stars. You may know that the North Star we often call the brightest star in the sky. As it turns out, the North Star is not the brightest star in the sky. The brightest star is actually called Sirius. It's also called the Dog Star. In some ways, I believe the little story about this star shows a little bit about the cause of our network. For the difficult students that Don Bosco refers to, or the students with difficulties, are often students who may be migrants or refugees, and we do not see their brightness in our Northern Hemisphere. And this is due to language challenges, to changing context, differing understandings of how to be and how to act in a classroom, often cultural, often regional, often linguistic. But the truth is, these children, these stars, can often be just as bright, if not brighter, than their counterparts. And they deserve the attention of their teachers and education systems, however, are sometimes subject to their dismissal. So this deep reflection of Don Bosco, that children and students who may present as those who have difficulties, really means that we, as educators, as policymakers, as advocates, need to look at the whole child, the whole community around them, and to take that into consideration as we aim to support these children. This is exactly what we're trying to do here at the Policy Network. And I'll move on to say a little bit about our core activities, which we are very, very lucky to have Don Bosco International as part of. Firstly, we produce a yearly EU-wide research publication called Serious Watch. The 2020 edition is almost out, and you will be unsurprised but happy to hear that we have focused a little bit on the impact of the school closures of COVID-19. In addition to that, we undertake peer learning activities where social workers, many of them such as yourselves, will visit to a site in another country to try and understand the different elements that people undertake and figure out what is the contextual element of this and what is the part that I can take home. Thirdly, we bring together stakeholders on a national level in order to discuss, to inform current practice and policy, whether that be on entrance assessment for newly arrived pupils or multilingualism for native and non-native pupils, or even on issues to do with unaccompanied minors who are in school. The collaborative work that we do on that level is so important to bring people together and to listen to what they have to say. The final one I'd like to tell you about is our EU policy conference, which takes place every year. Last year, we ran an online workshop, as everyone did, I think. It was an inclusive digital education workshop where we had national teams create SMART goals and really push forward on digital education in their countries. We have another host of other activities that we pursue as the network all together. And why do I tell you about us? Well, today's a challenging world, as we saw with that beautiful video, which I'll be watching as soon as I get home again. But I found out actually that the world that Don Bosco also lived in was a challenging world. Today we see that COVID-19 has really ripped apart our societies and shown us where the weaknesses exist. And as the video asks us, I also ask you, what can we do to make the most of this crisis? We will be sharing in the Foundation for European Progressive Studies yearbook some predictions for education this year. They will shortly be published. And I want to just give you a short excerpt, 2 scenarios, in the same way that the video offered us a chance to really think about what we want to do in the future. Our positive scenario is this: after a strong investment directed towards vulnerable communities through financial instruments that schools and school leaders are able to access and manage themselves, we will find that learning gaps that might have occurred were significantly mitigated in the 2021 school year. This highlights the importance of bold political and financial leadership, both at the EU and the national level. And it highlights the recognition that teachers and leaders, social workers and families who have direct contact with learners are best placed to make rapid decisions about how to invest communities with optimum effect. Our negative scenario is this: long-standing differences of learning achievements in vulnerable communities in comparison to other learners were further ingrained at the end of the school year in 2020. Continued disruption to many school systems will put an extra strain on the educational attainment of these learners, among them particularly those in early childhood, those with learning needs and disabilities, migrant and refugee learners, those who do not speak the language of instruction, learners from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, and those from vulnerable households with parents who may be abusive or struggling with mental health issues. I ask you, as the video does, to look around you at your sphere of influence. What can you do to move towards the positive scenario? Thank you very much.